Okay, so I'm here with Joe Camareno. He's the filmmaker behind Tin Holiday, a feature comedy, if you don't mind me saying that.
It is, yeah.
Congratulations, welcome to London.
Thank you.
As I said to you, I had really good feedback from your film, so really pleased about that.
Great.
But you're going to have
hear.
to give me a synopsis, I'm afraid, Joe. I've seen it, but for
Okay.
those that haven't seen it.
Well, it's about two friends who fly to London after a tragic event in Los Angeles, and they find themselves in trouble with the Punjabi Mafia, the Indian Mafia, and Interpol. So a lot of stuff ensues. It's funny, and I think it's been able to kind of open doors for some actors back home, because it kind of goes against the grain, story-wise.
So can you tell me, thank you, what's your, I know you have a history, obviously you have a history, but I guess just give an idea of your filmmaking history leading up to this, a flavour of what you've done.
Well, this is my second feature. My first feature is called Revenge of the Bimbot Zombie Killers.
You've just been dying to say that, haven't you?
I have.
Obviously a comedy.
It's a comedy.
Yeah.
It's a B-movie spoof, and it's also in distribution.
You have distribution for that?
I do, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's a comedy in that it's making fun of a type of a genre.
Yeah.
B-movies, and it's three female robots who battle zombies. So I
haven't seen that.
How can that not be great, right?
Like fun. It sounds fun.
And there's a musical number in the middle of the movie, which is kind of like a little Easter egg.
So did you fall into the comedy filmmaking, or was it deliberate?
It was deliberate. I mean, I've done dramatic work as well as a director, but I've done a lot of comedy, and I find that comedic actors are really good at drama, and it doesn't necessarily work the other way around.
Yeah, no, I was thinking of Steve Carell, who's done some really great stuff.
Yeah.
And I think of him in The Office or 40-Year-Old Virgin,
Exactly.
Or Secret Friend for the End of the World, the list goes on. Although he's quite straight in that film, but although even in 40-Year-Old Virgin, he's not comically what happens to him. He's not.
Well, he's the straight man.
He's the straight guy.
Yeah,
isn't
everyone
he?
else is the clown. Yeah.
Yeah, but given a straight one. I was about to say something like The Big Short. Is it?
The Big Short.
Is that
what about it?
Is that because that's kind of? I don't know if you've seen The Big Short. That's good. Have you seen The Big?
I have not. No.
Okay, that's kind of. I'm going off piece here. Yeah. And he also done one. He played the football trainer, didn't he? Which I think a lot of people can't remember the name of. But anyway, the point is he's a brilliant straight actor as well.
Yeah.
But so okay, gone off. There's me going off piece. So yeah, tell me what you mean by that. So, does that mean? I don't necessarily find it better to make comedy, or easier to make, not easier, better to make comedy, or you just find it easier to, I don't know.
I don't know that it's easier. I think it's actually more complicated because it is about timing,
but
it's also about grounding it in reality.
Yeah.
And if it's not grounded in reality, you've got movies like Austin Powers, which are funny, but it's it's not.
I'm not that much.
It's
of a
not
fan
realistic.
Of it. I'm not that much of a fan of it, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
But I know where you're going with that. Yeah. So, tell me about how this all came about and why it was Punjab. I mean, just tell me why it was an Asian twister. Because there's obviously a reason for this.
Yeah. It originally started as a living room drama.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So it was a drama.
It was going to take place in Los Angeles in one major location, a house.
Yeah.
In and around the house.
Yeah.
I met one of the producers on Twitter, who's British, but he's in East Indian background, Asian, and we were talking, just email or texting back and forth, and he's like, "Is there a role for me?" And I said, "I could write one," because I'd already seen his reel, so I knew he was a good actor. And that thing led to another, and next thing I know, I'm writing a British comedy that's taking place in England.
So this is odd because you're kind of fish out of water writing.
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming you haven't done anything based in the UK, and this is all a new thing for
you.
you?
Like any other good drama student, we studied Shakespeare and did the Shakespeares and did the comedies and the dramas, and so I've got that history behind me as far as anything British.
But you haven't shot in the UK before?
I did shoot a short film prior to that, as an actor.
Yeah. Okay. So the gig's changed somewhat. He's now been given a role. It's going to be based in the UK, but even so, you've still been turned on its head somewhat, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, everything just kind of fell into place. We were able to get our locations for free or for very little.
That is
here in
a
the
massive,
UK.
yeah.
We did have permits because we did shoot a whole sequence at Heathrow and in the tube, although all of those elements were cut from the film in the end.
Oh, what, really? Well, it
Yeah,
just wasn't working.
It was extraneous. It just, it wasn't needed. I wanted to be able to tell the story a lot quicker.
And just out of interest, shooting a sequence in London Underground in Heathrow, how many hoops do you have to jump through to get that? Because it sounds like it could be complicated.
It was relatively, surprisingly simple.
Right.
We got the permit. I want to say it was 70 pounds maybe.
Oh, so that is very...
Yeah.
And then you are given a specific time that you can shoot, presumably?
We had a couple of days or whatever the time frame was, but it
Right.
wasn't from 2 to 5, or it was these days you can shoot. And as long as we had a small enough crew to
So
go,
they want to know exactly how many people are going to be there?
Yeah. Yeah.
They make sure you've got insurance, they've got to make sure that.
Had insurance.
And then that's presumably all then liaised with Transport for London or however it's done for.
We had one of the London producers handle all of that, but it was, in the end, I was really shocked at how easy and how cheap it was.
I guess in New York it's not the same.
No.
Or LA.
No.
Megabucks.
That would be, just to give you an example, a basic permit in Los Angeles is $600. That does not include you having to pay for a fire marshal to be on set, which is $80 an hour. And there are minimum hours, and then you also have to pay
you
for a
might be
representative.
shoot for 20, 30, 40, 50 hours. You could be, couldn't you? Of course you could.
Easily. So I was just very surprised, and it just makes me want to come back and shoot something else, obviously.
Right.
Who wouldn't want to shoot a film?
No, I didn't realise in comparison how low cost it was.
Yeah.
So, okay, you're working on the script, you're beavering away, you finished the script, right?
Yeah.
All the drafts, 20 drafts?
6 weeks to write it.
Okay.
Did a rewrite, did a reading with a cast, a group of actors in Los Angeles.
They've all going to be shipped to the UK?
No, unfortunately, no. We had a couple actors from Los Angeles come to LA, and then we did casting here. So via Skype, I was, up at 5 in the morning in Los Angeles watching auditions at 2 o'clock in the afternoon here. The first round of auditions was just the casting director.
Right, just
Then
round
callbacks.
one. Okay, that's round one.
Yeah, and then recalls, I guess you call them here.
Yeah,
callbacks.
recall, yeah. So what about the crew then? Are they British? Were they British?
The British crew was here. Yeah, as well as the DP. I flew the London DP to Los Angeles.
And how does it differ other than the cost? Is it naive of me to say, well, shooting film, or is it not quite that simple, wherever you are?
What do you mean?
Well, you're in the UK,
Yeah.
you've got your crew assembled here. How does it differ from shooting in LA, apart from the cost?
For me, it differs in that I don't know the terrain.
Right.
I don't really know how things work here. I don't really know where to go for, I need an RE600. I don't know where to go. So I was relying heavily on my
Other
producers
people.
here
Yeah,
to be able to manage those tasks.
Yeah.
So that we had what we needed for our shoot.
And the whole finished film, you're looking back on it, is it the film, look, the film's 100, a totally perfect, brilliant film you wanted to make. Where does this sit from that 0 to 100?
Is
I
art
know you can always go
art
back
ever
and-
really finished?
Well,
it's-
that's a good point.
I watch it and I'm like, oh, I wish I could have tweaked that, or I wish I could adjust this. But, in the end, to me, it was what ended up being on the screen is what worked with the limitations that we had for time. We had 13 days to shoot here in London, and I think we had a very small crew, and I think our cast did a fantastic job of managing that stress and being able to work through everything all the challenges that we had coming at us. At one point we lost one of our cameramen, our camera operators, so it was it ended up kind of hurting us with time, because now we're one camera short and we've got to shoot double the amount of
How the hell
setups.
did you square that circle? Find a DP.
Our DP was there, but we had
operator,
a second camera.
Right, okay.
So we lost our second camera. We just managed. It was a much longer day. I think we wrapped at 4 in the morning.
Oh.
So of course trains don't run at that hour.
You're in the UK, my friend.
Yeah. I'm like, how is it that the city just shuts down.
Because we're in the UK.
It makes no sense to me.
We have actually got better. We used to be a lot worse.
Yeah.
But slowly and slowly we've gone. So all our shops are open 7 days
Yeah.
a week. You probably know all this. We're open till often late till 11 o'clock at night. So now you said something quite interesting, which leads me on to the whole time thing.
Yeah.
And I know we jokingly talked about shooting at Heathrow and Underground, and you cut those for a reason.
Yeah.
But can you explain what you meant by the pacing side of it? What didn't quite work about it?
There was a lot of. My challenge to me as a writer was to write something that was very verbose, very wordy,
Yeah.
very fast.
Yeah.
And a lot of that worked, but there were some parts that didn't. And the parts that didn't work were the parts that were more quiet in some of the film. The challenges we had working on the tube were
Yeah.
obviously people. We
Yeah.
couldn't tell
You're
people
moving,
to stop
yeah,
and
yeah.
move, and
Yeah.
so we had to work with that. So that was a bit of a challenge.
I suppose everyone's looking at you as well.
Yeah.
Which you don't want them to do.
Yeah, you don't want them to, and then they kind of adjust and they get used to it. But that was our first day was in the tube actually, and we had an issue with our Steadicam. Our
Was not
Steadicam
having
op
it.
didn't show up.
Right. Okay.
So we ended up having to shoot, with a handy cam. So that was a lot tougher for the DP. So the challenges were there, obviously.
Yeah.
So,
More aggravation.
yeah. So we figured it out, and ultimately those scenes just didn't work.
So did you know there wasn't going to be in there even before you saw the cut,
No.
or did you give it a chance?
I did give it a chance. We did do the edit. I ended up cutting 22 minutes because
Right.
at that point it was. I mean, right now it's at an hour and a half, 91 minutes.
Yeah.
It
Which
would
is a
have
good
been
length, to be fair.
Yeah.
It's a good length. Yeah.
for a comedy. It's great.
Yeah.
So it was going to be just shy of 2 hours, and I thought it's a little long for a
Yeah.
comedy. I
Yeah.
just, you see a lot of these comedies that come out, the big blockbusters, and they're 2 hours and 20 minutes, and it's
It's too much.
it's like 20 minutes too long, right?
Yeah, it's too much, yeah. That's too much. The best book in the world, I always, when I was younger, I used to think, okay, if it's a film I really know I want to see and it's 2.5 hours, brilliant. But actually, as I've got a little bit older, I don't know, it's like Alien special editions,
Yeah.
160 minutes or so. Great, I mean, that is great and it paces
Yeah.
very well. But mostly, I'm with you, I just like,
Yeah.
it's too much.
You can't tell your story in 2 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're
Scorsese,
Scorsese
with the Irishman
or
something,
Spielberg,
yeah.
and then you're like, well, even those movies, a little long, right?
Yeah, well, absolutely. No, I agree with you. So, where do you go from here? What's next? Another comedy, I assume.
Oh, actually, I just wrapped production on a series.
Right.
It's called Sister President. I directed 6 episodes. The pilot I didn't shoot. And it's probably going to go on Quibi.
Right, I don't
It's
know.
kind of
That's
this
the platform.
new platform for mobile.
Oh my God, all
10
these
minutes or less.
platforms.
Yeah, and it sounds pretty exciting. The producer's really working hard to get that going. But yeah, we shot 6 episodes. We're deep in post, which is why I couldn't get here until today. So I'm supervising color. I'm supervising a lot of the editing and all of that.
Did you write them as well?
No.
Right.
I just came in as a director. I told the actors what to do, where to go.
You're
how
gun
to
for
do it.
hire.
Yeah, and walked away. But I'm there for editing and color.
Yeah, of course.
So.
Yeah.
But it is fantastic. It's about 2 African American sisters who become the president and vice president
Oh, right, this sounds fun.
on a whim. And so now their challenge is to see if they can do a better job than the current man in office.
Let's be honest. My 6-year-old could. Hopefully, you're not a Trump supporter, but
No.
I know he could. Listen, on that note, Joe, thank you. That's
Thank you.
brilliant fun.
Thank you so much.